So in the first leg of the PSG versus Barcelona match, Luis Enrique started with a 4-3-3 and so did Xavi Hernández. PSG started with Donnarumma in goal, Nuno Mendes, Beraldo, Lucas Hernandez, Marquinhos, Fabian Ruiz, Vitinha, Quan Lee, and over here we got Mbappe. Luis Enrique started off with Marco Asensio and Ousmane Dembele over here. As for Xavi, it was Rafinha over here, Lewandowski the center forward, Lamine Yamal, Ilkay Gundogan, Sergio Roberto was the pivot, Frankie de Jong, he came back after an injury. We got Cancelo, Kubarsi, Ronald Araujo, and Jules Koundé. When PSG were in possession, what Barcelona did was that Jules Koundé, Ronald Araujo, Kubarsi, and Cancelo, they would be over here. And so when Mbappe attacked, Koundé would be man marking him basically, and Nuno Mendes, when he would bomb forward, Lamine Yamal would be the guy who would crack him. And so when Mbappe moved inwards, it was Ronald Araujo that came and marked him. Mbappe, he was mostly tied up. Nuno Mendes was the guy making the attacks. And so when he made the runs over here, Yamal would come in and so would Koundé, and they would basically double team the guy, sort of making a 2v1 situation. So whenever Mbappe, at the initial part of the match, he did get a shot, but Araujo was on him, and so a goal didn't really happen. So for most of the game, Barcelona were basically in this 4-4-2 sort of a block with PSG playing a high line. So what was going on was, Lewandowski was here and Gundogan would be here pinning these guys around here, and Lewandowski would move around here, Gundogan over here, and Rafinha would be the guy over here. So Ter Stegen would make these long balls, and Lewandowski would drop deep, pulling this defender with him. And so whenever the ball came forward, Barcelona relied on Rafinha's pace to make these runs over here. Secondly, what happened was that when Ter Stegen would connect directly with Lewandowski or Kubarsi, he would try to break these lines directly to Lewandowski, and when this guy would press him, Lewandowski would turn and Yamal and Rafinha would make these runs. And so when Lewandowski would get the ball, he would turn and pass the ball right over here to Yamal, and Yamal with his 1v1 dribbling skills, he made that first pass over here, and it was Rafinha who ended up getting the goal. It was a transition goal, and Barcelona got the lead. Asensio, Enrique wasn't really playing with a striker. He wanted more possession, and so he wanted the superiority over in this area, and that's why he was playing Asensio as a false nine. Dembele was the guy over here, and Mbappe more inside than outside. But most of the time actually, if you look at it, Mbappe was outside, and because of that, there wasn't much threat. Throughout the match, he had 0 shots, 0 threat level, nothing going on. Barcelona basically neutralized them. On some instances, when Dembele did get this move around here, when Cancelo was caught up high, and he was 1v1 with Kubarsi, Mbappe would move inside, and we would have Nuno Mendes around here. So Mbappe would make these curve runs, trying to connect with Dembele. So Barcelona in possession, they were mostly looking to go on the transition, but sometimes when they did have possession, Cancelo would be up here and Lewandowski would be somewhere around here pinning the guy back. Barcelona in possession, they go with the back three, have a sort of a double pivot here. One of the midfielders would be here trying to create this overload. Lewandowski would be dropping deep inside here. Cancelo would be the guy up here, so Koundé would be back here, and Lamine Yamal around this area. What basically was going on was that Rafinha was the guy moving inside and making these runs from around this area, essentially becoming a playmaker. And if Barcelona would somehow, for some reason, lose the ball around this area, PSG, they would have a really good option for a transition. But nothing much in the first half. In the second half, what Luis Enrique did was that he brought on Barcola and took off Asensio. Dembele became the center forward, or sort of Mbappe, and Dembele actually moved to the left wing. Dembele, he made this, brilliant 1v1 cutbacks over here and ended up getting the goal. For PSG's second goal, there was a cutback sort of a situation over here. Fabian Ruiz got the ball and Vitinha made the run inside, and Ruiz made the pass to him, and he got that goal. So 2 goals in quick succession, and then obviously Barcelona had to make a comeback. And eventually, Barcelona got a second one with Rafinha in the 62nd minute, and then Andres Christensen header in the 77th minute. So Barcelona won that leg 3-2. If you look at the stats, PSG had 18 shots, Barcelona had 15, but Barcelona had 7 on target as compared to PSG's 6. Possession-wise, it was 59% for PSG, 41% for Barcelona. So, in the second leg, again, Barcelona and PSG in a 4-3-3. We got Ter Stegen here, Cancelo, Kobarsi, Araujo, Jules Koundé, Frankie de Jong, Gundogan, but this time Pedri started, and then again Lamine Yamal, Robert Lewandowski, and Rafinha. But PSG made some changes. This time they started with Barcola here instead of Mbappe. Mbappe moved to the center forward position. Dembele here. Warren Zaire-Emery started. Yo Vitinha here. Fabian Ruiz, and then this time Achraf Hakimi was available, so he started and he made these bombing runs. Marquinhos as a center back, Lucas Hernandez and Nuno Mendes, Donnarumma in goal. Barcelona were mostly positioned in a 4-4-2 sort of a situation because they planned to play on the transition, and we had Pedri up here with Lewandowski, Rafinha, moving inside. Cancelo not moving further ahead this time. They wanted to keep the defensive line intact. They tried to play direct to Lewandowski. We had PSG pressing Barcelona's midfielders. So we had this sort of a situation over here. So whenever Lewandowski got the ball, there was a high press sort of a situation over here. 3 PSG guys coming in, trying to put the strangle on. So when Lewandowski would get the ball, Gundogan, he would sometimes also be trying to make these runs over here. Saw a lot of switches around between Mbappe over here and Barcola over here. So if Mbappe got the ball in the runs, he would make the runs here, and then Barcola would move inside. Once Mbappe was here, all these guys, the blind side, Dembele used to come in, and Vitinha and all that. So they tried to make these cutbacks, but nothing was going on. Eventually, Barcelona got the first goal. Then Lamine Yamal got the ball here, and he won 1v1 with Nuno Mendes. Wrong-footed Mendes made the dribble inside the box, and we had Gundogan coming in support, Lewandowski over here, and so he made this cut. And eventually, Rafinha got to the end of it, and Rafinha had actually made that run over here. So once he made that cut inside, Hakimi was over here marking him, but he was a little late, and Rafinha actually ended up scoring. Barcelona went in the lead 4-2. Everything was comfortable until disaster struck. Barcola's goal. What happened was that Ronald Araujo made this pass in Barcola's goal, and the pass was it was a bad pass. And what happened was that PSG won the ball. Barcola made this run, and so now he was 1v1 against Ronald Araujo. Koundé was caught up high. Kobarsi was around here, but he did make that run inside, but obviously there was another PSG player here, so he had to track him as well. What basically happened was that Barcola really good on the pace. As soon as he came around right here on the line, Araujo raised his hand and touched Barcola's shoulder. Barcola, he just needed that one tap, and he went down. And as soon as he went down, the ref blew the whistle. And what happened was that once the ref did blow the whistle, although it was harsh because the touch Ronald Araujo made wasn't that hard. But once he made that touch and the ref blew the whistle, it was going to be a red because he was the last man and it was Araujo obstructing a clear goal scoring chance. If it was in the box, then it would have been a penalty. Ter Stegen the touch Barcola made was big, and so Ter Stegen did move over here. And there was time for Kubarsi to move inside as well. But the thing is that, Barcola had already gone down. And that is why once the ref blew that whistle, he didn't have any other choice but to show that red card. That was basically the end of it. After that, the next goal when Barcelona, they were down to 10, it was basically a 4-4-1 because Xavi, he had taken off Lamine Yamal and put in Inigo Martinez. And he did that because, at the time Barcelona were leading and they wanted to protect their lead. That's why they went more defensive. But what happened was that without Yamal, what Xavi did was he didn't leave the option of Barcelona making that opportunity on a transition, which they might have needed later on. So once, PSG got their second goal with Dembele making this run on the blind side, Cancelo not marking him because obviously everybody was inside, focusing on this area. And so once he made that blindside run, he got the goal. Once, PSG got in the lead, Barcelona did need those transitions, but they didn't have that outlet. So then obviously Xavi brought in Ferran Torres. Barcelona had lost the match at that time. It was really hard to compete against. Once PSG got in the lead, they obviously didn't need to have such a high line. They had to actually protect their end of the side more than they had to score. But obviously, they were getting those numerical superiorities in those chances. So obviously they ended up winning 4-1. Once they did get in the lead, Barcelona did start attacking better. In hindsight, was it the right decision to take off Yamal? Xavi, he wanted to rely more on Rafinha's pace. But without Yamal, Barcelona didn't have that outlet to create any transitions, any opportunities, so they gave that up. That is why, the pressure kept on piling, and then, there were two more red cards. Xavi got a red card. I think Ter Stegen's goalkeeping trainer, he got a red card as well. So there were 3 red cards for Barcelona, and basically it was game over. But yeah, harsh refereeing, that changed the game. And in the Champions League tie, they got to figure out the match shouldn't be based on a refereeing decision. Before that, Barcelona were definitely, in control. PSG had the possession, but they didn't have the XG. The match was basically decided because of a refereeing decision. If we look at the stats, PSG ended the match with 21 shots, 7 for Barcelona. If you look at the shots on target, PSG had 9, Barcelona had just 3. Before the red card, in the last game, Barcelona had about 39 to 40% possession. In this game, with Pedri on, Barcelona had about 44% possession before the red card in the 30th minute. And then the match ended with 68% possession for PSG and 32% for Barcelona. So basically it was over. PSG had a passing accuracy of 90%, Barcelona just 71% because they were trying to get out, have that transition once they fell behind. The match just basically turned on its head.